mountains shall reach to Ozal. So he makes the valley and then they flee through it, is what I'm reading right there. And you shall flee as you fled from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah. So that's kind of what I wanted to point out there. And that's where I wanted to talk about the Grand Canyon, because we know that the Grand Canyon goes from east to west roughly. Let's see here. I mean, I know, it's not exactly, I mean, really though, now that you look at it, I mean, it really just looks like a bunch of veins, doesn't it? I mean, it's really only roughly east to west. It's not even exactly like a straight line at all. Earlier, Alan and Noah were asking if parts of the Grand Canyon are still cut off from travel, and the answer is yes. Huge parts of the Grand Canyon are off limits. Huge parts of the Grand Canyon are on reservation and are not available to the public. But I mean, it's just interesting to ponder because, let me pull up this picture right here. It's just interesting to ponder that east to west, I mean, what if the Mount of Olives was this really huge mountain next to Jerusalem? So this map was made by this guy named UBTV or something like that. And he's one of these, I think, Black Hebrew national guys, but he believes that U.S.A. was Egypt. And I don't actually agree with this whole map or anything. Like, I think up here he says Assyria, Babylon. I don't actually agree necessarily with that. But, he could be right. I'm just not sure. I do think Lebanon, I think he's right about where Lebanon's at. And I actually am leaning towards he's right about Israel and Jerusalem. I do think the Utah area looking really strong candidate. And this would fit right in maybe with this whole Mount of Olives to the east. Now let's see what is to the west directly of the Grand Canyon. Las Vegas is right there to the west. Okay. Interesting. There's the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, because he said it's a valley through the mountains, not just the Mount of Olives, but rather he says, and you shall flee to the valley of my mountains. So I think he cracked several mountains potentially, more than just one. Hard to say. But he made a valley of some sort for them to escape through. But let's look at this picture one more time here. So yeah, he puts Israel over here in the west where the Rocky Mountain area would be, which really does fit the description kind of good as far as the mountain, the being so mountainous and everything like that. It certainly is described as a mountainous area. I always tend to think of the Rockies as well, but maybe that's just my bias being an American, but interesting nonetheless. Something to think about, something to look into, I guess. I'll probably end it here pretty soon unless anybody who's in the chat would like to look up a topic of some sort, because I don't have anything else lined up tonight, but I was planning on that I would give extra time if anybody else had something they wanted to talk about. And also, I'm going to go back and read your comments here because I have not been reading them very much, so I apologize. Let's see here. Yeah, the Grand Canyon, man. Isn't that, it really does look like something either biological or like you said, like when, almost like a petri dish. Actually, there was this one YouTube channel, I can't remember the name. They said Earth is a petri dish or something like that. And they were using pictures like this to prove it. But I mean, I had to say, I mean, it does kind of look like that, like when you grow something on there. But yeah, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, T-Ball, thanks for dropping in, man. Crew in here, I mean, really, and with Alan, I wish Alan was in here. That'd be awesome. I mean, just because we're like at the tip of the spear of some of this information, like I was saying, I think you guys might not have been here, but I was saying earlier in the stream, Just like nobody else in the world talking about this right now besides us, pretty much. Like there might be. I hope there are. I would love it if there was tons of people out here finding out all these connections, like what we've been finding out with Isaiah and Ezekiel and Zechariah and Revelation and all the prophets. You know, all of it tying together. And if you didn't get a chance, check out my video of those rocks that I showed you earlier, which I definitely think a lot of those that are confirmed mud fossils, flood fossils for sure. So especially the heart, you may or may not have seen that. But I think I'll end it tonight with a prayer. Looks like lightning hit the valley. Yeah, I mean, obviously the glittering sword could have easily. I mean, God can have as much power as he wants. You know, he has to hold himself back. I really liked that Conspiracy Are Us video where he looked at some of the damage and it looked like it was from a giant arc welder. And I was like, oh man, glittering sword confirmed. Because he had a lot of real good stuff on that. You know what? We could watch it right now. Maybe I'll do that. Let's just have a little mini watch party real quick here. For anybody else that wants to hang around, we're going to watch a Conspiracy Are Us video right now. Oh, wow. I popped up on my own screen. I don't sub to myself or anything, so I'm not sure. I guess it's recommending me to me right now. Let's see. Well, I could go Inception style and click on my own stream right now and keep clicking through. I don't know. Let's see here. Conspiracy Are Us videos. Where's the arc welder one? Yes. Holy smokes. Holy smokes, guys. Are you ready? Here, let me turn this comment on.
Of people in clown outfits trying to lure children into the woods with candy.
It sounds like a plotline out of some horror movie, but people in Greenville in an apartment complex there say this is happening to them.
Hello everybody and welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be talking the Nephilim look like clowns. Now the inspiration.
Okay, this topic, first of all, clowns, I mean, it's just a weird topic, just that I feel like this is the one we're going to talk about now, just because this popped up on I just noticed he made this video 8 hours ago. But clowns, yeah, what's up with them, right? They're very archetypal, like they resemble a skeleton, the way that the face looks and everything. I mean, obviously they have other features as well, but I mean, there's something kind of like deeply disturbing about clowns in like a deeper way. So anyway, I'll let the video roll on, unless you guys, yeah, the clown posse, yeah, good point. Because that's used as like an MK Ultra trigger and stuff like that too.
For this video, it actually came from a video series. I think it was like a 10-part video series that I saw on YouTube, maybe in 2016. And what was being put forward in that series was this concept that what we know today as a clown and the way a clown looks and some of the behaviors of a clown or clowns in general might actually be derived from what's referred to as the Nephilim. And I know that sounds like a stretch, but when you start to look into some of these things, it gets interesting. So this series is no longer the channel that created the content is still on YouTube, but hasn't produced videos for a long time. But this series has been removed, and I wanted to just sort of hit on some of the key points that were brought up, and I will leave links to the channel, and because I found another channel that re-uploaded this series, so I'll leave a link to all that. Now, getting into this topic a little bit, what's we have this association with not only clowns as being entertaining, but we associate them with certain characteristics like red hair, pale skin, as well as the blood red nose, and um, also certain characteristics like tricksters, mischievous, and now even we're getting these associations between clowns being evil, both in the media and in movies. We see this concept that clowns being evil is a common theme in a lot of movies these days, as well as being tricksters and mischievous, like I said. So is there any chance that that's actually coming from somewhere, um, or from something? And what's being put forward in this series is that this is a representation of, in some way, of the Nephilim. Now, where things start getting interesting is when you start looking at the history of giants, especially you have the mysterious cave of the redhead giants, and how many native tribes in the northeast and southwest, they still speak about legends of giants with red hair, and how their ancestors fought long and terrible wars against these giants. And you think of the Paiute Indians, who are native to parts of Nevada, Utah, and Arizona, and they would tell the white people the stories of the battles that their ancestors had with a race of fierce giants who had pale skin, in addition to red hair. So that's an interesting connection, and I think it's in the Bible, in the book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 33, where they talk about the Nephilim and their giant stature. So it is interesting that we have this association: Nephilim, pale skin, red hair; clowns, pale skin, red hair. I don't know about them being giant, but interesting. That's an interesting point. And just thinking about red hair in general, we've got these interesting ties to like these elongated skulls having red hair, and even the giant Moai statues on Easter Island having these red caps. Now, just as a point of fact, I should mention that the appearance that we sort of associate with a clown, a lot of that was developed apparently in 1801 by this person, Joseph Grimaldi. And what's referred to as the white-faced clown was originally designed by him, as I mentioned, in 1801. But the idea being put forward in this video series that I watched was, what if the inspiration behind this appearance is actually something else entirely? And he was pointing to the Nephilim. Okay, here's where things take a twist. I was reading this article talking about why do people who take DMT see these jesters and tricksters. And what I wanted to mention, and this is just an excerpt from that article, the text, but what I wanted to mention is Joe Rogan, who's got one of the most popular podcasts in the world. He actually took DMT, and he ran into these jesters, and he talked about it, how they were sort of taunting him, and now in the article, it talks about how strangely these jester type entities commonly appear in the DMT experience. So people encounter these clowns, jesters, jokers during their experiences with DMT. Now, these entities are often engaged in elaborate and mind-boggling performances and tricks. But it's not only their behavior, which is interesting, but their environment is interesting, because many people find themselves in strange dimensions that resemble a circus or a carnival or a casino. So you've got these entities that people bump into who are mischievous, and they kind of act like clowns, and their environment is a circus. So what do we have? Obviously here we've got the clown. Not only do we have clowns who have this, the pale skin, the red hair, all that, but they're associated with circuses. So what if what we have here in the physical is actually paying homage to these non-physical entities? Just something to think about. And the appearances, at least of these DMT gestures that people see, a lot of times, and I'm sure it varies, but a lot of times they speak about these entities having these two protrusions from their head, and also they'll see checkerboard patterns in and around, around these figures or entities, and on message boards like DMT Nexus, people talk about a lot of these strange coincidences of seeing these entities and some of the things they see. Now, in culture, there are cultures that refer to these entities as well, and you have the Hopi people and their sacred clowns. So you've got this concept, the Pueblo clowns, and they have these rituals where they dress up like jesters and tricksters, and they paint themselves with these striped patterns, and they have these headdresses with these protrusions, and you start looking at some of the figures associated with these rituals, and it looks just like these entities, these stripes, the protrusions, pale face, and you just kind of got to wonder what's going on. And then you find out the Kosher is a sacred clown of the Hopi, one that you're likely to see at the Katsina ceremonies. He is one of several clowns which are sometimes called jesters or tricksters. And they say the Koshers are sacred entities of the Pueblo world. But so you can see the protrusions, the stripes. What's put forward in the series, and I wouldn't be surprised if these are indeed real entities that are non-physical, and the Pueblos were interacting with these entities, and it's the same entities that people who take DMT are encountering. And it's not just an archetype. It's not the collective unconscious or collective consciousness, but we're talking about real entities, and their environment is very circus-like. And what we're seeing in the physical is just a recreation of that. Just sort of this weird concept. But in movies, right, we got the Mad Hatter, Alice in Wonderland, the main character, pale face, red hair. You had also in that movie the Red Queen, pale faced, and I believe in the background you had this jester here figure with the pale face protrusions. And also, we look at McDonald's and Ronald McDonald's and the Hamburglar. They got their stripes, Ronald McDonald, obviously the clown motif. And it just makes you wonder if the influence of all this is not what we think it is. But talking about the Hamburglar and the hat, and of course you got the Mad Hatter with the hat. Just as a side note, a lot of people who have night terrors, sleep paralysis, they will talk about seeing a figure with a hat who seems to be sort of controlling the experience. And a lot of times he's wearing a flannel shirt, which sounds strange. But of course, we have movie Nightmare on Elm Street. He's wearing that patterned sweater with the stripes. And he's got a hat on. So just sort of a interesting side note. But we have Beetlejuice, right? He's this pale-faced character who is a troublemaker, and he's irreverent, a lot of these same characteristics just keep popping up. And I wanted to show you a 25-second clip from this series that I saw. And it's going to be somebody who's drawing uh, a demon. And as he's drawing it and showing it, there's a manifestation that happens in the video. And it's going to have some relation to this image that you're seeing with Beetlejuice here. So let's take a quick look at that short clip. Okay, so it's really grainy and it's low quality here, but this person's showing a drawing that he did of a demon that he saw, and as he's doing it, you get this something's materializing behind him, and it looks like it's attached to him, and it's got that stripe pattern, and it's going to disappear from the camera. And I'll let this run once more, and it's sort of behind him here. You could just sort of, as he's showing this picture of a demon he drew, you sort of have something that seems to be materializing behind him. And I can't speak to the veracity of this video, but I found it pretty interesting. So I just wanted to show it with you guys, and it's going to disappear once more here. So what I did was I just took a snapshot on the left from that video, and on the right you have Beetlejuice. And if it is indeed a legitimate video, it's interesting that you've got some entity appearing that seems to have a lot of the same visual characteristics with clowns and, portrayals of these characters that we see in movies. Something to think about. And there's carnivals, many carnivals, but the Carnival of Basel is the biggest carnival in Switzerland, and people dressing up as clowns. And of course, UNESCO's involved, and they want to preserve that cultural heritage. Makes sense. But yeah, here's just an image from that carnival. And, why do we do this, right? Like, why do we dress up like clowns? This specific type of clown with the stripes and the pale face. And of course, you got clowns in hospitals. Clown care, also known as hospital clowning. It involves visits in healthcare facilities, involving visits from specially trained clowns. Now, I should mention, a lot of good is done, and you got a lot of people with good intent dressing up as clowns and bringing a smile to children who need a smile. So there's a lot of good being done, but it's just, what we're questioning is the root of this, like, why clowns, and specifically why pale-faced, red-headed clowns. And when you look at the Shriner hospitals, of course, there's connections to Masonry, right? Not all Masons are Shriners, but all Shriners are Masons. And again, we talked about this checkerboard pattern, the pale face, and now we have, this connection with children. And on the surface, it seems fine. And like I said, a lot of good is done. But now when you think secret society and this, now we're looking at like why the pale-faced, red-headed clown, now it sort of takes a different tone, but just something to point out. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, I first saw this series on this channel called Understanding Conspiracy. Now, this series, he's taken it down, or it's been taken down and removed. So you can no longer watch it on this channel, but I will leave a link to the series because it's another channel has uploaded it, and I'll leave a link to that. But the last communication I've seen from this channel is on his community page, where he sort of leaves this goodbye message. And it's interesting. There's aspects to it that you could read into it if you wanted to. But just to read it real quick, it's been a long time since I last posted a video on YouTube, and I apologize now for that. But due to circumstances beyond my control, I'm afraid I've had to stop posting videos for the unseeable future. Now, totally understandable. Things happen, people get busy. Understand. It saddens me greatly to have to do this, but I've been left with no other choice. That's interesting. I'll always be here to answer your questions and will always be watching and commenting on other videos while my old videos are still here for you all to share and see. Like I said, you can still see some of his videos under the playlists, but this particular series you can no longer view on his page. Sorry for this, guys. I really am. We had a good ride while it lasted. Who knows? One day I may be able to post again, but it's goodbye for now. Love you all and God bless. So it's interesting. So the videos have been taken down. His channel is still up, but there's no activity and these videos have been taken down. So, you could read into this, but like I said, it could just be he's busy and who knows, right? I don't want to conjecture too much, but so I will leave a link to, this is his channel name. You can search for him in YouTube, but I will also leave a link to the video series that I found that's been uploaded on another channel. So now let's get into video comments.
Well, I'll probably call it right there, guys. Probably watch the rest of his video later or something, but we don't need to watch his own comments video. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed tonight's live stream. I know it wasn't anything too spectacular, but I just wanted to get on and just get something out there for people to be able to just have some more content that they can view, So thanks a lot. I'll close this out with a prayer here tonight. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again for this day and this night, and thank you for getting Alan and Noah home to Texas safely, and bringing the community together, and everybody seems to be kind of in pretty good spirits right now. I know some people are still having some issues and need some help, so please do deliver that to them. Please continue to wake up the masses and call all of your people to your nation and your land, just like we know that you're going to. But please bring as many as you possibly can into the kingdom so that they can get saved. We definitely want all of the unsaved to get saved if they can. It's their choice, but maybe our prayers can help. So thanks everyone for being here. Have a great night. Hallelujah. Amen. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.